because liver is king. More!
What if everything you believed about becoming a stronger, healthier, and more primal version of yourself was built on a lie? In 2021, the internet was introduced to a wild, larger-than-life figure, a man who called himself the Liver King. Shirtless, bearded, and bellowing into his camera, Brian Johnson claimed to have unlocked the secret to masculinity, vitality, and dominance. And the key? Eating raw liver, lots of it, along with bull testicles, bone marrow, and any other organ that looked like it came straight from a caveman's dinner plate. It sounds like a joke, but for millions of people, he was anything but. He was a phenomenon. In every video, he presented himself as a living relic of the past, a primal warrior carved from stone, ripping into raw meat while preaching his ancestral tenets. It was insane, and yet oddly convincing. He wasn't just eating liver, he was offering an entire lifestyle, a rebellion against the soft, processed, synthetic world we live in. He told viewers that if they wanted to reclaim their strength, power, and purpose, they had to return to nature, to simplicity, to suffering. He slept on the floor, sunned his genitals, rejected modern medicine. And it worked. People believed, and the numbers didn't lie. His videos racked up millions of views. His physique, abs like granite, arms like tree trunks, seemed to prove it all worked. He claimed he was 100% natural, no steroids, just meat, sunlight, and discipline. And in a world full of fakes, that message landed like a thunderclap. But there was a problem, a massive one. As his popularity grew, so did the scrutiny. People began asking questions. How does a man in his mid-40s look like that? Shredded to the bone, skin tight as shrink wrap, every muscle popping with inhuman precision, just from eating liver and sleeping on rocks? Even Joe Rogan, the godfather of modern skepticism, voiced his doubts publicly. He didn't mock Liver King, but he called it like he saw it. "Nobody looks like that naturally," he said. "Come on." And that's when things started unraveling. Derek, from the YouTube channel More Plates, More Dates, stepped in, a quiet, clinical, evidence-based voice in the storm. He didn't speculate. He investigated, photo by photo, video by video. The signs of steroid use were undeniable to the trained eye: overdeveloped delts, paper-thin skin, absurd vascularity. It wasn't hate, it was science. Still, none of that mattered, until the email. The email leak hit like a nuclear bomb. A message sent directly from Brian Johnson himself, listing his detailed performance-enhancing drug regimen: testosterone, HGH, Deca, Omnitrope, Winstrol, over $11,000 a month in pharmaceutical help, all administered under a specialist doctor's care. It was the smoking gun. The king of raw liver, the prophet of ancestral living, had been juiced to the gills the entire time. The lie had a price, and it was steep. The Liver King wasn't just a fitness influencer, he had become a cult leader in everything but name. His brand, Ancestral Supplements, promised to restore lost vitality through freeze-dried organs. His followers didn't just buy into the lifestyle, they bought the actual liver, in capsule form, at $65 a bottle, and it worked. Revenue exploded to an estimated $100 million a year. Fans turned into devotees. Primal became a way of life. But it was never about the capsules. It was about belief. If this guy could get jacked off liver, maybe anyone could. And if that belief died, the whole empire crumbled, which is exactly what happened next. With the leaked email circulating like wildfire, Johnson finally addressed the controversy in a video. It wasn't filmed in the forest. No raw organs, no roaring. Just Brian, silent and still, in a leather chair, staring into the camera with heavy eyes. "I lied," he said. But not really. Instead of a full-throated apology, he delivered a half-baked explanation. He claimed it was never about being natural, that the message of ancestral living was still valid, that he wasn't hurting anyone, that he was rich before social media and didn't do this for money. It was less an apology and more a pivot. He framed himself not as a liar, but as a man carrying a burden for the sake of his community, a martyr. The manipulation was almost surgical, and it backfired. The confession didn't calm the waters, it made them stormier, because now the mask was off. And what lay underneath wasn't a primal leader. It was a brand manager scrambling to control the narrative. Then it got weird. Videos emerged of Liver King pacing in a hotel room, shirtless, holding two gold-plated AR-15s, wearing a fox fur hat, challenging Joe Rogan to a fight. His words slurred, his face wild-eyed, his posture teetering between rage and panic. "I'm picking a fight with you, Joe," he said. "Manto man." It wasn't a performance. It looked like a breakdown. Within 24 hours, social media was buzzing with unverified reports. He'd been escorted from the Four Seasons Hotel in Austin, placed under psychological evaluation, hit with a restraining order. Was it true? Nobody knows for sure, but it didn't matter, because the damage had already been done. The lawsuits came quickly. A $25 million class action, later dismissed, accused him of deceptive marketing. Followers demanded refunds, retailers cut ties, inventory piled up. The brand lost its edge, the magic was gone. And the tribe, the once loyal clan of primal warriors? They splintered. Some clung to him in denial, others turned on him with fury. The rest just walked away, quietly embarrassed that they ever believed. Brian Johnson went from icon to outcast, from podcast guest to punchline, from symbol of primal perfection to cautionary tale. What's most tragic isn't that Liver King lied. It's that so many people were desperate enough to believe him. In a world drowning in processed foods, sedentary habits, and mental fog, Johnson offered something raw, simple, and real. He offered hope, a fantasy that if we just returned to the ways of our ancestors, we could reclaim our power. And when that fantasy collapsed, people didn't just lose a hero, they lost that hope too. But maybe the most important lesson isn't about raw liver or steroids or internet fame. Maybe it's this: if you build your identity on a lie, you'll eventually forget who you really are. And when the truth finally surfaces, it doesn't just destroy your image, it destroys you. The Liver King didn't fall because he used steroids. He fell because he pretended not to. And in doing so, he shattered the one thing his followers needed most: trust. So the next time someone promises a shortcut to greatness, remember what happened here. Because under the fur hat, the gold guns, and the piles of liver was just a man, pretending to be a king.